Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by the all-new 2015 GMC Yukon, offering professional-grade design and functionality. The all-new 2015 GMC Yukon, now available at Richmond area GMC dealers. Dan Doherty at Colonial First Mortgage, assisting customers with home purchasing and mortgage refinancing. Online at colonial1mtg.com and by phone at 804-218-4444. And James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540. Coming up on the series finale of Flying Squirrels Insider, the guys get you primed for the Eastern League playoffs. We go to the field for the hotly contested Clubhouse Fantasy Football League Draft. And Giants Director of Player Development, Shane Turner, gives season analysis for some of the Squirrels' top prospects. It's all ahead on a special edition of Flying Squirrels Insider.
I just wanted the radio, not another year as a squirrel.
Hello once again, and welcome to a very special season finale of Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm Jon Laaser, road weary, but about to be picked up by my boys, Jay Burnham, Wes McElroy. It's in these moments that I wish I had been nicer to them on the set all season long of Flying Squirrels Insider. But before we get started towards the 2014 Eastern League playoffs, as always, some housekeeping and some thank yous. We come to you now from the Colonial First Mortgage baseball desk. A big thank you to them and to James Limousine, who have been with us all throughout this third season of FSI. We're going out big. Double prize packs can be yours today if you text FSI to 44544 at any point throughout this show. And we're going to send some Flying Squirrel swag your way so you can be postseason ready. Buick Verano joins us on set. Isn't it beautiful? Brought to you by the local Buick GMC dealers. They've also been faithful partners with us all throughout the 3 seasons of the show. All right, guys, let's dive right in. Jay, you did not dive right into the regaling in Altoona, the Flying Squirrels for the second time in postseason play. That's coming up. Going backwards, it was an outstanding champagne celebration, and you missed it.
I did miss it. Squirrels clinching the playoff berth on Monday. Just as we were wrapping up the post-game show, someone had to tell the world what was going on, also had to update the website, social media. I know that's not your strong suit, so while I was doing all the heavy lifting, you were down there getting dunked in champagne. By the time I got down to the clubhouse, it was just a soiled carpet and not much else.
Now here's what actually happened, folk. Heavy lifting for Jay, in a role reversal at best. My exact words when I left were, let's wrap this baby up quick. Come on down. You're not going to want to miss this. He did what it was an emotionally stirring talk from manager Russ Moorman about togetherness and how the playoff spot was just the beginning for the Flying Squirrels. And then, of course, the corks were popped, the beers were all dumped on the floor, and we wasted about a boatful of alcohol that could have been enjoyed. Anyway, it was your traditional champagne celebration. We had to tip the clubhouse manager extra in Altoona, but that's what you play for, guys. You play for the postseason. Flying Squirrels do now know they are in. And the Western Division will break down with the first place team on the road the first couple of games of that best-of-5 series, then potentially coming home to host as many as 3. Not yet official as we tape this. Flying Squirrels, however, in the driver's seat to be the division champion. Go on the road the first couple of games. Wes McElroy, is that actually a disadvantage?
I would like to see them open up as the wild card. I'm going to be a glutton for punishment here. I know there's a dangerous where you have the 2 games, but then 3 on the back end and the first seeds stadium. But 2 things here are in play for me. Actually, 3 things. The first one is this team is going to survive on its pitching in the postseason. The diamond is a big help. If you come in and have the first 2 games, there's no place like home, the diamond to your advantage, you're starting pitching the way that you want, that's a big bonus. And then from the financial aspect, you get the home crowd. You're guaranteed those 2 games at your ballpark, so you get that home environment, which can help your pitching staff And these guys love playing at home. They say it's an extra bonus. So I would actually like to see him end up as the wild card team and get the first two at home.
Jay Burnham, devil's advocate. We do believe it'll be the Akron Rubber Ducks, so that trip would be to Akron. You take one at Canal Park, and you swept the Rubber Ducks back at the outset of the month of August, and all of a sudden you're in the driver's seat coming home hosting the rest of the games.
Some valid points there. Fortunately for the Squirrels, the ballpark in Akron plays similar to the Diamond, so you might have a little bit of that pitching advantage. All you have to do is sneak one of those games, then you come home with that advantage on a Friday, Saturday, potentially Sunday. And what I like is to try and create the atmosphere at the Diamond, which hopefully we will, on that Friday playoff game where you get everybody buzzed about it. The place is packed, 9,560, and you really create that October feel in September here in the minor leagues. So either way, it's going to be great for the Flying Squirrels franchise, but I think it's shaping up to be, as you mentioned, a Friday, Saturday, and then potentially Sunday games here in Richmond.
I've always used the phrase, if I were a betting man. I'm going to let you behind the curtain. I am a betting man. I like to gamble. This is basically the version of when the blackjack dealer asks you if you want insurance with an ace showing. You say no every time. It's a sucker play. You take the 3 games at home as the division champion. Plus, you also get to print up some cool division champion T-shirts, which the Flying Squirrels did not get to do back in 2011. Well, regardless of whether they open at Akron or here at the Diamond, it will be a great environment on the Boulevard, and you also have to somehow cobble together a playoff rotation. Jay, how are you stacking it up?
Well, remember a couple of weeks ago, actually probably about a month ago, we talked about this very situation, and it's obviously changed since then with losing a couple of your bigger pitchers to AAA Fresno. I think you got to start this series with Jack Snodgrass. There's nobody else you want out there on game 1. He is your franchise leader in wins. He's got another double-digit win season here in 2014. I think if you go with Snodgrass game 1, it really sets the tone, saves the bullpen for the rest of the series as well, because you know he's going to give you 7 innings.
Wes Clayton Blackburn had been the Flying Squirrels' most effective starter the month of August. However, he laid an egg in his last regular season outing. He's still your guy.
He did. And I would go with Blackburn number 1. But for many reasons that you just said about Snodgrass, I would want him as my number 2. Just in case things went south in game number 1, you have to use your bullpen. You bring Snodgrass in game number 2. He's going to get the work done quick. You don't have to worry about your bullpen with Snodgrass in there. So I would have the Bulldog Blackburn go first, and then Snodgrass come in as my number 2 for insurance.
This is an ever-evolving situation, actually, folks. I've been fortunate enough to sit in on the conversations. We're going to put up a graphic here as what it was going to be before Blackburn's start. This is what they had decided on. Blackburn would miss his final regular season start, which was scheduled for Labor Day. He would start game 1, then Snodgrass. But what it's actually going to be is Jack Snodgrass will be limited in his final regular season start on Saturday against Binghamton. He'll throw 2 innings or 30 pitches. Then he will start the playoff opener. Adalberto Mejia, who's actually been quietly effective in the month of August, will sneak into the 2 spot. Then you will come back with Ty Block on normal rest, and then you can either go Chris Stratton or Clayton Blackburn, either way you want in games 4 or 5, depending on where you sit in the series. Well, one thing we do know, we're hyped about the playoffs, but also the regular season coming to an end, which means annual team awards. Most of the guys who have claimed these team awards have gone on to the big leagues. Let's start with most valuable player, a guy that's already gone on to the big leagues. Is there anybody out there you guys can make an argument for that isn't named Matt Duffy?
Well, you can make an argument for a guy who I'm going to say a lot of his name on this show, and that's Jack Snodgrass. 11 wins for Snodgrass, 6 losses, a 3.66 ERA. But I think what's more important for Snodgrass, if you look, is like when the Squirrels started to make a turn as a really formidable team in the Western Division, it was when Snodgrass stepped into the rotation after his first 2 outings in the bullpen, really started to shoulder the burden for the Flying Squirrels. I think there's no doubt it's Matt Duffy in this case, but you could probably make a pretty good argument for one of your best pitchers in franchise history being left-hander Jack Snodgrass.
You got anybody else?
By trade, I'm a sports talk show host. I'm supposed to debate things. But no, Matt Duffy's the MVP. Mario Lusone deserves in the conversation, leads the team in RBIs, leads the team in home runs, but we got to see Matt Duffy. He's the MVP.
Matt Duffy would have led this team in RBIs, I'm pretty confident, had he stayed here, and I agree with you. And as we reveal those actual winners here on Flying Squirrels Insider, it is, in fact, Matt Duffy. I was going to give an argument about the Cy Young and all that. However, I'm going to save that for another time. Matt Duffy, your 2014 Most Valuable Player. Guest of the show here is our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week, and then plucked to the major leagues. All right, quickly running out of of time, guys. Let's move along. We also give away Pitcher of the Year. Now's your opportunity, Jay, to get back to your boy Snodgrass, although you've already made your argument.
Yeah, remember the last show we had where Jack Snodgrass was pitching Jack Snodgrass? I feel like him in this instance where I'm pitching Jack Snodgrass.
Not a bad place to be.
Yeah, exactly. He's your Pitcher of the Year. He's been such a pleasure to work with. He's a phenomenal guy on and off the field, and I'm proud to say that he's the Pitcher of the Year.
He is the Pitcher of the Year, I believe. We're going to reveal that in a second, but he hasn't been the most dominant pitcher, Wes.
I'm going to put up the fight for Hunter Strickland. Derek Law goes down early part of the season.
Hating on Jack Snodgrass.
Yeah, what's your problem?
He has a
You're
Snodgrass.
a tools guy. You're a tools guy.
Snodgrass man.
I'm going to give you a radar gun
Seriously.
for Christmas.
I did some digging last night. Okay, the season has come down to this, down to the final series. Derek Law goes down, Hunter Strickland comes in. In May, June, and July, 41 games the Flying Squirrels came down to 2 runs or less. They were 31-9. Hunter Strickland was in 29 of those. He's been huge. He's not only had to come and adjust to AA, he's excelled at AA.
Can I change my vote? No, you can't. The only problem with the argument for Wes is what you said in there, Derek Law. He was actually the back-end stopper for this team for the first 7 weeks of the season. Strickland's been phenomenal, but your 2014 Pitcher of the Year is a repeat winner. It's Jack Snodgrass, first player to ever claim 2 season-ending awards in a row. Flying Squirrels also give away a unique award by one of their fine sponsors. Puritan Cleaners sponsors the Dirty Squirrel Award. It's basically a hustle award. We were going to debate it. Let's pass on that. Kelby Tomlinson, he's going to steal half a century of bases. He's almost up to that 50 plateau. He leads the league. He's been willing to play out of position, in position. It's going to be Kelby Tomlinson. One more award we talk about before we quickly get to playoff projections is the attendance title. Jay, I'm going to get your thoughts. You're there day in and day out. Another source of pride for this front office.
Yeah, fantastic. In the 5th season, this team's going to lead the league in attendance. And look, it's been a down year in the Eastern League in attendance in other markets, and the Squirrels continue to be at the top of the list in attendance overall and average.
Through some loss of staff, yeah, and some regression in terms of that honeymoon period, but it was actually a boat race this year. That's right, you heard that, Redding. We boat raced you for the 3rd time down on the boulevard. All right, guys, postseason fever. That's what we've got right now. Do the Flying Squirrels have enough?
Yes, they do. I think they have enough at least to get past the first round. Binghamton, if they win in the Eastern Division, is going to be tough, but you got a fighting chance with your rotation.
Wes McElroy, I had to defy you to say no.
Yeah. Rotation, they got it. They get a couple games at home. They get at least 1 game at home. They got a great chance.
They do have a great chance against Akron. They are sputtering towards the postseason. We'll see. I think this weekend will be a barometer against the Binghamton Mets, who have played as the best team in the Eastern League of late. But the Flying Squirrels have their ticket to the postseason, and we shall see if they're bringing the championship back to the RVA. Well, I know one championship that's coming back to my house this year, and that is the 2014 Clubhouse Fantasy Football Championship. We've actually had the draft. I dominated it. Jay will corroborate that actually for you. And let's take a look at how I was able to secure the first pick. As always, we bring in our correspondent, Michael Feldstein, for a unique look behind the scenes at how we set up the Clubhouse Fantasy Football Challenge.
And welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm Michael Feldstein for another edition of Sandlot Sass here at the Diamond. While the baseball season's running towards a close for the Flying Squirrels, the fantasy football season is just getting started. As we suit up, the Squirrels will be drafting a team this year in a pretty unique way.
Yeah, it's at 1 o'clock.
Let's go. Sit.
And I always try to find a new way to pick the draft order. And so this year, it's one of the fun things to do is to use that t-shirt cannon. And so this year I decided that we're going to do a little bit of a mortar and target practice. And so we're going to go from center field and we're going to shoot up in the air and try to land it as close to the rubber as possible. The closest to the rubber gets first choice of where they want to pick. So if I'm the closest, I get to pick where I want to go, either 1 or 12. Seems like a fun thing to do. It's definitely really, really fun to shoot off the cannon. But of course, I'm going to win the Fantasy Football League. So it doesn't really matter who wins this. It's who's going to trade me the best players. And we all know Laaser's going to draft Adrian Peterson because that's his hometown boy, and he's wearing his purple shirt today to commemorate his dismal Vikings team. Uh-oh. One of the other cool things is when you shoot, you have to go stand by your nearest ball. So you're also on the landing strip, so you could get hit with a tennis ball and it could glance off. So best of 3 shots. I'm unfortunately going first, so I'll be the one that's getting the most action coming at me, and hopefully everybody survives. First choice of wherever they want to pick will be David Getzoff at a score of 10 feet 1 inch. Number 2, Jon Laaser at 14 feet 3 inches. The third choice will be Ryan Bradley at 17 feet 2 inches. Number 4 will be Phil McCormick. Number 5 will be Clayton Blackburn. Number 6 will be Parney. Number 7 will be Jay Burnham. Number 8 will be myself. Number 9 will be Kirate. Number 10 will be Duffy, who will be drafted by Adam Vish. 11 is Grimsley, and number 12 will be Snodgrass.
Is that your catcher's?
Yeah, he's wearing my catcher's helmet like he's gonna play football or something.
Welcome back to the season finale of Flying Squirrels Insider. It is tremendously difficult to believe that this is the final installment, but awfully close to the postseason for the Flying Squirrels, and hopefully this episode will be a bit of a postseason preview. However, with that in mind, we do somewhat of a season recap, as it is our pleasure to welcome our good friend, both organizationally with the Flying Squirrels and me personally, the San Francisco Giants Director of Player Development, Shane Turner. We'll, of course, start with Kyle Crick.
Well, injuries. He's struggled with his command. We knew this would be a challenge for him. The hitters are better here. Hitters know the strike zone a little bit better. They were going to force him, especially to show fastball command, lay off his other stuff. But I think if he's learned to this point, as far as watching what's happening to him and the adjustments he has to make, I think what he's gone through this year, whether he starts here or advances next year, I think it's going to end up benefiting him, having learned how hitters get better, and it's only going to keep happening at AAA and the Major League level.
Next guy I want to talk about actually started and was extraordinary again last night. Looked for a while like it might be a lost season for 21-year-old Clayton Blackburn.
Well, you know, going back to last night, he was outstanding. That was the Blackburn that we intend on seeing going forward in the future. You know, we knew that this level would be a challenge. We knew, you know, at his age and his experience level that we were giving him a lot to handle. The idea was that each start, each pitch, he would learn from that. I think yesterday was a pretty good indication. He really had a great feel for the breaking ball, which is what he's been known for from the day we signed him, and his fastball command is his key. Yesterday he commanded his fastball both away, up, and inside when he needed to.
Ty Block was also tremendous in his last start. Does it almost feel sometimes that Ty is trying to learn too quickly, and sometimes that leads maybe to those off nights like he had 2 starts back?
You know, I don't think you'll say this very often, but I think sometimes maybe his competitiveness gets in the way of his learning curve. You know, he's going to do whatever he has to do out there to keep the team in the ball game. He'll kind of reinvent himself a little bit. And again, the key for me, for him, is his fastball command. There's a very fine difference between a ball being mid-thigh and being right at the knees. And he has to understand that he needs to pitch with his fastball. He needs to pitch from the knees below and then above the hitting zone. And then, of course, his other pitches play. He throws a lot of strikes. I think the big thing for him to learn is he has ability pretty much to throw a strike at any time with any pitch that he wants. He has to learn to pitch around the plate a little bit to get guys to chase.
Let's talk a couple of, I hate to use the word older, but more advanced guys on this pitching staff. I'm sure that you guys had to recognize when you moved Austin Fleet and Kelvin Marte to AAA, that decision was pretty much an easy one, but that was difficult for Jack Snodgrass. And I think for Jack, at times, he needs to understand the reason he's still here is because you guys value him so much.
There's no doubt about that, and you know, his name has come up in being promoted to AAA. His name was on the board to make that team out of spring training. I think one thing that all players should not lose sight of: playing somewhere is better than sitting somewhere. Playing somewhere is better than not having a uniform on your back. So I think from Jack's standpoint, he's a very competitive kid. He's a great makeup guy, and I know it's been hard for him at times. I think probably one of the proudest things that have occurred this year is the way he's handled that. That's not an easy thing for a player. You know, they don't understand that him starting here again is better than him being the 15th guy in AAA. He has shown that he can pitch, and I think he's going to get that opportunity in the future, and we do value him. I think each year he's learned a little bit more. This is almost like pitching the big leagues. Going to the same league again and again and again, you see a lot of the same hitters. They adjust to you. You have to adjust back. That's what the big leagues is all about. The personnel in the big leagues does not change drastically from one year to the next, so I actually think this experience has a chance to make him better going forward.
Hunter Strickland's been on a mission this year. He's pretty close, isn't he?
He's very close. I mean, watching him close that game out last night was maybe one of the most impressive performances I've seen this season. He has stuff. He has makeup. He knows how to locate the stuff. He's for me the total package. Obviously, he had a setback last year, having the injury that he had. If you had a insider camera that got to watch him rehab and the way he worked, there's no doubt in your mind why he's come back so strong. He is an animal when it comes to taking care of himself and preparing himself. And yes, his future is very bright for him, and I don't think it'll be too long before he's pitching in San Francisco.
Before we move on to a couple of very special stories that occurred here lately, I do want to remind our viewers how fortunate we are for our relationship with you, Shane, and also the Giants, because this is candor that a lot of times you don't get in the minor leagues. Some of these moves and some of these decisions remain a mystery for fans that cheer on the team, and that's why we are certainly grateful for the opportunity. And with that said, I want to move on to one that I know has been resounding through the developmental system for you guys and gives you a lot of pride. Matt Duffy, he came in here, had obviously been taught the right way, carried it to this league, and I really, in my 11 years in the game, Shane, have never seen a guy handle things quite the way he did.
He eats, drinks, and sleeps baseball. He loves the competition. He loves the challenge of having to get better. He relishes the work, and he understands the benefit of preparing himself every single day, no matter what happened the day before. And, you know, he was like that. He came to us like that. He had those intangibles that have gotten him to where he is right now, and those intangibles, in my opinion, are what going to help him be successful at that level in the long run. You know, for me, in a lot of ways, he was the heart and soul of this team, and not so much verbally, but the way he approached everything, the way he competed every single day, how seriously he took the game. You know, he obviously had a great year while he was here. It kept getting better and better every time I came in, which is hard to believe, but the swing got shorter, the approach got better. Defensively, he showed more range than he did last year. He in a lot of ways, for me, when it comes to makeup, he's a very, very special kid, and that's what's going to help him exceed in baseball and outside of baseball.
Overall, in the Giants' opinion, has this season been a success for this young group of players?
Statistically, where they are in the league and being in first and fighting for a playoff hunt, and that they're playing important games late in the season, it's important. There have been peaks and valleys, yes. There have been rough patches for guys individually and the team collectively, but especially like the last two nights, you watch them come out and they continue to compete and they continue to find a way to win. The last two pitching performances by Block and Blackburn, and I mean, I couldn't ask for more. Those are two of the best pitching performances I've seen. So for me, everything being said, everything they've been through, they're moving in the right direction, and they're going where we want them to go.
Thanks, man. We do really appreciate it and are grateful for your candor.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate what you guys do for our guys here and the fans coming and filling up the stadium and creating the atmosphere they do here.
Special atmosphere back in 2011. Hopefully the Squirrels, by the time this airs, will have punched their ticket to the postseason. Of course, we'll have more details on that as FSI continues. And that, unbelievably, is going to do it for another season of FSI. We wrap our third season today. We go out with some thank yous to our sponsors, Colonial First Mortgage, James Limousine, and your local Buick GMC dealers. And, of course, to these guys on the desk, Jay and Wes, thank you guys so much for your contributions. Michael Feldstein as well with the correspondent. For Craig Keaton, Bryant Dameron, and our entire outstanding crew, I'm Jon Laaser saying thanks for coming to the ballpark with us. We'll see you, hopefully, for the championship next spring.
My hat's off to every one of you, the staff. You know, you guys did a wonderful job while I was gone. And, you know, this is just the beginning. This is just a celebration to get in. The big celebration is at the end.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by the all-new 2015 GMC Yukon, offering professional-grade design and functionality. The all-new 2015 GMC Yukon, now available at Richmond area GMC dealers. Dan Doherty at Colonial First Mortgage, assisting customers with home purchasing and mortgage refinancing. Online at colonial1mtg.com. and by phone at 804-218-4444. And James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.